Hello. Just need a moment, and right now I'm just setting up the webinar. We'll be live in a couple of minutes, but in the meantime, are there any questions? Just need a moment, and if you have any questions right now, just type it in the group chat in the YouTube channel. I'm going to check the questions right now. Right. So you can see in the webinar chat, basically it's on the right side of the YouTube page. I'll type something right now. Okay. All right. Just 1 second while I pull up the slides. right, just give me one more moment and then we'll be ready. Okay, so pulling up the slides now. All right, so here we go. Okay. So I'll be able to take questions later on, but for now, I'm going to transition over to the slides. Right, inspector. All right. Okay, so welcome to the webinar. In this webinar, I'm going to be talking about how to get your first coaching clients and guarantee them results without any prior training or experience. So I've noticed recently, I have a lot of friends that are trying to become life coaches or trying to become dating coaches, health coaches, etc. And I've noticed, they have a lot of good information and they've had past experience in these fields, but they don't have necessarily the experience of coaching anyone. And they don't really know how to get clients or anything like that. But if they were to get clients, they would probably kill it because they've had this background of experience that they can draw from. And so it's just a matter of getting your first clients, being able to systematize whatever you're teaching to the point where it's understandable for your clients, they start getting results. And from there, you can build a clientele base and a loyal fan base to continue your business as you proceed. So you can transition from making this your side hustle to actually having this be full-time. You can get rid of your 9-to-5 job and transition fully into coaching, and it's very possible. So let me get into this right away. So let's go into the first slide here. So I'm just going to hit play. All right, so my goal is to help two types of people. So number one, for beginners, you'll learn how to get your very first coaching client and get that client's results. And for more experienced people, you'll learn a powerful psychological method that will create permanent, long-term change for your clients. And my goal for this webinar is basically this. So I want you to know that the only way for you to get actual real results for your clients is to create emotional change. And the only way to create emotional change is through the Eagle method. And you're going to see what I'm talking about. It's not a very specific step-by-step process. It's a more generalized process that you can apply to a variety of fields. And you'll see what I'm talking about in a moment. And before we continue, I'm just going to check in on the webinar, make sure that everything is running as it should be so that you guys can actually see the slides. 1 second. So about me, basically in the past 2 years, I've taught over 40 students as a dating coach for guys. And 70 to 80% of the students ended up going on a date with the girl or taking her home by the end of the session. So essentially, you know, all of my students were getting results. Let me switch this out real quick. Date with the girl or taking her. Okay. I'm just fixing this so that present to everyone. Home by the end of the session. All right, so make sure. So essentially, you know, all of my students. And I just want to make sure that all my slides are visible. So I know this is taking a minute, but bear with me for just a moment. Okay, cool. So we're all set up. All right, so in the past 2 years, I've taught over 40 students. And like I said before, all of my students have vastly improved their social skills. So before the Eagle method, I focused on teaching specific lines, techniques, and models while calculating the probabilities of certain social responses. And I know it sounds and looks cool and nerdy, and you do get some results, but then over time, my clients became nervous, awkward, and try hard, and they could never sustain the results. They would end up freezing up when they tried to remember the lines and structures they had learned. So my epiphany moment was I realized that most of my close friends who were naturally good with girls violated a lot of these quote unquote rules and guidelines. They didn't always say the smartest or wittiest things, but they always carried themselves with a sense of ease and charisma. So, sorry. And thus, I started teaching my students how to be more emotionally aware. So what was the result? Basically, my students went from being anxious and nervous when talking to girls to actually enjoying being social. And that was essentially the secret. How you do one thing is how you do everything. That is, once they started interacting with everyone with charisma, they felt less pressure during the conversation, and it actually became enjoyable for them. And since fun, humor, and emotion builds trust and connection quickly, the students were able to connect with women and people in general much more easily. So here's the Eagle method. Basically, it starts with envision. That means using your intuition, taking action or making a move, gauging what the response is. So you observe and feel the response. And if you get a green light, then take the lead. And if not, then slow down or take a step back, make any necessary changes and press forward. Basically, evolve. So I know that's cool and all, but you might be asking, or you might find yourself wondering that maybe this approach doesn't work for your demographic. The Eagle method, however, applies to any situation. For example, think about dieting. You envision yourself losing 50 pounds. You take action by going to the gym and lifting. You gauge yourself by weighing yourself and taking note of how you feel. You lead by continuing the workout routine if it's effective, and you evolve by making any necessary changes to it to make it more effective if it's not already effective. So here's why the Eagle method is effective. Well, usually coaches try to tell their students what to do in different situations and give them how-to knowledge. And the Eagle method is an action-oriented process that focuses on emotional self-awareness and building intuition through experience. So basically, you're teaching the student how to learn effectively. So here's an example of a student who's learned the Eagle method. He talks about how meeting me was a huge turning point of his summer, and he started to adopt the success mentality, and he saw a drastic change in the span of a month and a half. So he got laid twice, he got way more focused with work, started his oath to become financially independent. And the most important thing is that he's having fun while going out. He always believed that you needed momentum, where if you don't go out during the week, then his momentum would drop and he would have to build it back up during the weekend. But he realized that actually when you're out, you can just enjoy yourself. You can feel rejuvenated and joyful and get in state immediately. And you don't have to build it up throughout the night. You can just switch into that automatically. So during this process, he joined a group chat with me and my closest friends, and we advised him when it came to health, girls, fashion, online marketing, and fitness. So he's basically said that the Eagle method was a huge turning point for his life at that point. But you might ask yourself, how will this improve my coaching business? Because if someone believes that you can help them attain life-changing results, then they'll be willing to pay any price for your coaching. Then here's the next challenge. How do you show them that you can give them the results they want, especially when you're just starting and you have 0 clients? Well, here are the 3 secrets. Secret number 1, value work. This is how you get your very first clients. Basically, you work pro bono and you start to implement whatever method that you have for them, your secret sauce. That's what you start to implement, and you start to craft. You start to work on your craft and you document everything. Secret number 2 is experiential learning. So you want to create significant and lasting changes for your clients. And you do this by using the Eagle method. And secret number 3 is social proofing. So basically, this is how you gain credibility in your community in order to get more clients. Because you're documenting everything throughout your value work process, you can turn that content into social media content, into content that you post on your website, things like that, so that you can attract more people to your method. So I'm going to show you how to do all of this, and I have specific ways to actually broadcast your coaching and documenting it. So I'm going to go through step by step and tell you how you should go about doing that. So secret number 1 is value work. What you should do is offer free sessions. Go to your friends and family first, and you can use Facebook, and you can write a message saying, I'm just getting started with my new coaching business. Is there anyone who would be interested in being coached for free? Essentially, do a 1-hour session with them, or you can designate the amount of time, but I find that 1 hour is optimal, especially for an introductory session. And you talk to them. You talk to them about their life. You ask them questions. Here's the thing with coaching is that a lot of times the coaches don't do enough listening. If you listen better, then you can get a better idea of what kind of mindset your client has. Once you understand your client's mindset, then you can allow your client to fix his or her own problems. It's not about you going and doing the work for them and fixing all their life problems for them. It's about creating awareness. That's what coaching is all about, is reflecting the mirror so that they can see what their sticking points are and how they can go about fixing it in their own way. So this is how you hone your craft, is you have multiple clients that you coach for free, and over time you'll become better at coaching. And document everything. Record every session if you can. Have an NDA drafted. An NDA is a non-disclosure agreement. So make sure you meet with an attorney, or you can do it yourself. Draft up a non-disclosure agreement and have your client sign it, and sign it for yourself as well. And that way you can record all of your sessions and just agree that you won't share any of the content without your client's approval, and your client won't share any of the content that you film or record without your prior approval. So when I first started, I did free work for about 5 months. And after about 5 months, I finally had someone who was able to, or wanted to pay for my coaching. However, I didn't document anything. So when I started keeping track of my clients' results, recording my sessions, and collecting testimonials, people began to see the value of my coaching. And all of a sudden, I saw this massive spike in coaching requests, and they were actually paying clients. So here was the result. By May 2016, I had 25 paying clients. Basically, I had a session almost every single day of that month. But you might be thinking, how much documenting did you do, and for how long? So I just collected some testimonials, recorded audio from some of our sessions, and followed up with clients after our sessions, just a casual chat, just texting them every now and again. So it doesn't require any fancy equipment, just a smartphone will do. Nothing more complicated than that. And you're probably thinking, where do I put out the content that you document? So you want to create a landing page, and then use the platform of your choice, whether that's YouTube, a podcast, Facebook, or Instagram. And you want to drive traffic to your landing page using those platforms. So I know it sounds complicated now, but I'll come back to this at the end of the webinar, so don't worry. Here's secret number 2, the Eagle method. You want to envision, take action, gauge, lead if you see that it's effective, or evolve, change your strategy if it's not effective. So before teaching the Eagle method, my students were positive about the coaching that I offered, but the results were haphazard. So in spite of the fact that my students were very encouraging, I didn't get consistent results for them. However, once I created the Eagle method and started teaching it, the results skyrocketed, and the reviews were raving. So here's some testimonials or reviews that I got from prior students. So this is one that I had, this was a couple years ago now. And I remember I took him out during the daytime. He wanted to learn how to get over his social anxiety so he could talk to girls. And he didn't have that much social anxiety. He's actually a pretty cool guy. It was mostly just getting to the point where he could open up with girls. So he ended up going on a date with a girl, and he had a date with her. And he basically said that by the end of the date, they connected on a deep, deep level. And he said, I've had this belief that girls almost always reject me. To actually see and have shown specific technical things that are causing it was very valuable. So basically what I did was I got into the deeper reasons. Why did he feel insecure about talking to women? Because when it comes down to it, most of my students, they're cool. They have amazing careers. They're well accomplished. They're charismatic when they're with their friends. But when it comes to attractive girls, they tend to feel stifled. They tend to bottle themselves up. They don't feel open to be able to talk to girls in that same charismatic way. And it's just about recognizing where that source is coming from. Where is that insecurity coming from, and releasing from it. So that's how I helped him. And I didn't really do much in terms of telling him what to say or what to do. It was mostly just shining the mirror back at him, seeing his own reflection, and he was able to self-correct, especially when it came to his emotions. Here's another student that I had, and basically he said that my style of game, basically game was a euphemistic way of saying that the way we talk to women in the nightclub. So he said that my style of game was ruthlessly efficient. And basically, this student I took out to the nightclub. He didn't like to go out to nightclubs very much, but he ended up hooking up with a girl from the nightclub and took her home within about 10 or 15 minutes. It happened really quickly. But it was basically because of the way I was making him take action to get over his emotional resistance. And that's what the Eagle method is all about, is how do you get over emotional resistance? Well, you do that through action. And by employing the Eagle method, you're able to overcome that emotional resistance in a facilitated way. You're able to overcome it much more quickly than if you just tried to instruct the student. But you're probably thinking, the Eagle method sounds good in theory, but is it practical? It seems too much like a quote-unquote inner game approach. Inner game meaning like a spiritual or emotional or psychological approach that doesn't have much substance to it. Well, the answer is yes. It is focused on internal emotional and psychological development, but it's rooted in action and gaining experience quickly. So the focus on action and experience is what makes it effective. Because you can theorize about how to do things for hours, but the way to actually get results is through focused practice. So that brings me to secret number 3. So once you get these results for your students and you start collecting these testimonials and content, then you can use these sessions you documented as a demonstration of your coaching. So you can create a landing page online and drive traffic to that landing page with Facebook ads. Basically, a landing page is a website page, and it's very simple. It's not complicated. If you're not technically savvy, don't worry. It's simple to make, and it takes less than a day. But basically, you put up a landing page where you talk about your services, what you offer, what you stand for, and driving traffic just means that you send people from Facebook to that landing page. But before using social proof, I just want to talk about what I would teach my students. And what I realized is that you want to show and not tell. Too many guys are using a resume style testimonial where they're basically saying, I did this, I do this for the student. They're telling, they're not showing what they actually do. That's why you document. You can actually show what you're like when you're coaching. That makes it so much more real for a potential student. So make sure you document carefully, make sure you collect content, and you demonstrate it. You show what you're actually doing. So here's an example of showing instead of telling. I have a podcast called AGL Live, and basically I've recorded all of my coaching sessions with one of my students from beginning to end every week, and it went on for about 9 weeks. And you can see his progress from week by week. And he basically tells his story. You can noticeably see the difference in the way he acts, the way he talks, and he actually gets results as well. So AGL Live is an example of showing instead of telling. But you might be thinking this sounds like a promising idea, but it seems like a lot of work. And here's the thing is that I created my podcast in less than 2 days. And if you've been documenting consistently, all you have to do is edit it, which is simpler than it seems. All you have to do is match the video to the audio and then export it and then post the content. It's 3 steps. And I'll go into that later on as well. So I'll talk about this more in depth at the end of the webinar. So let me ask you a question. If you followed what I showed you in Secret 1 and created value work, then you did what I showed you in Secret 2 and employed the Eagle method. Then you used secret number 3 to create social proof. Do you think you could be successful? And let me ask you another question. How many of you are excited about what we just talked about? How many of you are feeling a little overwhelmed because we covered so much? And is it okay with you if I spend 10 minutes going over a very special offer I created to help you implement the Eagle method? Well, here's what you're going to get. 8-week Eagle certification course where the lessons go through step-by-step how to get your first clients. How to get them results, and how to build a loyal following so that you will always have a strong clientele base wanting your coaching. And here's what we're going to cover. Week 1, crafting of company philosophy and a personal mission statement. Week number 2, getting your first clients in the door. Week number 3, teaching envisioning, basically the E of the Eagle, effectively. Week 4, inspiring the transition to action. So the A part of Eagle. Week 5, how to gauge, lead, and evolve, the GLE of Eagle. Week number 6, how to create a landing page and driving traffic to it. Week number 7, the foundational principles of SEO. So that's search engine optimization. So that basically means that you learn how to rank your keywords on Google. You can create a landing page and you can start ranking your keywords so that people are searching for things that they're interested in that you're teaching. And week number 8, effective methods of content marketing. So that includes podcasting, using Instagram, using Facebook, and using YouTube. So I want to go back and make sure you realize who this is for. It's for people just starting their coaching business or those who are already successful and want more clients. You might be thinking you can't get started with this because you don't have enough experience yet, or you should be more prepared before diving in. But here's why that's a mistake that will hold you back from success. Because the only coaches who succeed with their businesses are those who take action quickly. If you're the type to hesitate or wait for the optimal time, you'll gain experience slower. And when you sign up, you're going to get instant access to the 8-week certification course at a total value of $12,000. And as part of this package, you're going to get a group chat and weekly Q&A calls. So these are the tools to help you track your progress, hold yourself accountable, and have a team of ambitious peers, and have access to guys who are successful coaches already. And when you have this tool, you'll be able to learn and adopt the behaviors and mindsets of successful coaches. So basically, as Jim Rohn says, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So when you have this tool, you'll be able to get rid of worrying about whether you're going to get any clients and whether you can deliver results for them. And you might be thinking that you've been part of group chats before and just ends up as people posting funny GIFs and memes. And although we do have fun with it, you also have a wealth of knowledge on demand. And whenever you have a question, you can get an answer from an experienced coach in a matter of seconds. So I've carefully handpicked each coach, and each of us has a slightly different take when it comes to relationships and dating. And there are also coaches who have expertise in personal training, nutrition, fashion, martial arts, and online marketing. So you'll get solid guidance and mentoring on a variety of topics. And when I was first figuring this stuff out, I ran into a big roadblock. And I didn't know how to get and keep my first clients, and I had no one to turn to. So basically, I was on my own. So I had to create the Eagle method for myself. And way back then, I had to spend weeks and months to figure out an efficient way to handle this problem. But I don't want you to have to reinvent the wheel. I've already gotten proven results with this method, and I'm just going to give it to you with this package. Does that sound cool? So you're probably thinking that you need to get some experience on your own first before investing in any tools. But the problem is that you're losing potential clients right off the bat, and you're just prolonging the success of your own business. So here's what you're getting. The 8-week Eagle certification course includes weekly training videos, weekly Q&A sessions with the coaches, and access to the AGL mentorship group chat. And when you invest today, you're also going to get access to a secret Facebook group, which will help you with tracking your progress and holding yourself accountable. So I had to go through hours and hours of coaching to become even somewhat proficient, but you won't have to do that because you'll already have access to advice from coaches who are already successful. And this bonus is going to make it faster and easier for you to get results for your clients. How? Well, and this is going back to the quote we said before. So you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And if you're actively participating in the group with successful coaches, you'll become a successful coach yourself. You might be thinking, there's no way that a Facebook group can be that effective. And the truth is, it won't be if you just take the advice at face value. There are plenty of videos, podcasts, and coaching material for you to learn from. But if you actively participate in the group, you will inherit the subtleties and the subcommunication behind the way successful coaches think and behave. And you may not notice it, but the small incremental changes will add up to a massive difference in the long term. And you might be thinking that you've tried Facebook groups in the past, and it just ends up as a bunch of guys posting and boasting their own accomplishments, seeking validation from one another. But with this group, I've carefully hand-selected the most qualified coaches who I've lived with and traveled with personally. And I can attest that they're not in it to just brag or impress anyone. They've joined to genuinely help others and to learn from each other and from the students. Now, obviously, I'm not going to charge you $12,000. But if I did charge you $12,000 and all it did was help you get your first few paying clients, would it be worth $12,000 to you? And if all this system did was guarantee your clients results, would it still be worth $12,000? And if all it did was help you create a recognizable brand for yourself on Facebook, iTunes, Instagram, or YouTube, would it be worth $12,000? I had 2 choices with this. I could go as cheaply as possible and try to sell as many as possible. But the problem with that is that I couldn't really stack on the value for you. So I decided to go with the second option, which obviously requires a slightly higher investment on your side. But in exchange for that, we can dedicate more time, energy, and resources to help you guarantee your success. And so if you had a successful coaching business today that was making you money and allowed you to quit your 9-to-5 job, what would it be worth to you? How much would you have to pay to have that one successful coaching business? You can probably see why people pay $12,000 for similar results from me. Because it's not a cost, it's an investment. You've already seen how it's worth $12,000. And even at $5,000, which I charge the public, it's a great deal. But because you chose to join this webinar today, I'm going to give you a very special offer. $19.97. Now let me put this into perspective for you. If you went to my regular website right now, you could buy this same product for $5,000. But because you've invested this time with me and you've proven that you really want to get this result, I'm making a special offer just for this webinar. And if you were to enroll into a typical life coaching program, it might cost you $10,000. But because you're learning how to do it yourself and I'm giving you all the tools and resources to make it happen fast, you only pay $19.97. So at this point, you have two choices. Choice number one is to do nothing. And if you do nothing with the information you've learned over the last hour, what will you get? Nothing. Or you can choose to take a leap of faith. Just test it out to see if it will work for you. And if it doesn't work for you, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. So you have nothing to lose. The real question is this: is it worth gambling a few minutes of your time to check this out? Even if it does half of what I've claimed today, it will pay for itself as soon as 1 month. So here's what you get: the Eagle Certification weekly training videos, the weekly Q&A session with the coaches, access to the AGL mentorship group chat, and a secret Facebook group. So here's the catch: there are only 10 spots for this class. And after all these spots are filled, the deal is gone. So basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to send you an email and I'm going to follow up. So if you're interested in joining the AGL certification program, just reply to that email and we'll sort it out. But for now, I want to see if there are any questions. So turn it over back to me. I'm going to check the group chat and see really quickly if you guys are asking questions. Okay. All right, so I'm typing in the group chat right now. All right. So if there are no questions, I'm going to end the webinar. Thank you so much for joining today. And I'll follow up with the email as well. Let me just double check. All right, so that's it for today. And look out for the email, but thank you so much for joining.